my friends, family, and colleagues in the struggle for justice. Your humble servants are here again. My name is Kofi Ali Abdul-Yakin. On this very episode, we're going to look at the challenges that is confronting the so-called African continent. And where lies the fault? Where are the problems? And I've always said, the problem that is destroying that continent is not from outside, it's inside the continent. And every time you check, you realize that is the case. And today, I want to prove to you that we are doing something. There are so many voices now that are out there, so many. Talk about Julius Malema, you talk about Professor Lumumba, you talk about someone like this lady from Zimbabwe. I've forgotten, she has a very complicated name. There are so many voices across the continent. Semikeba, Benin Republic, you have Kofi Ali here. But there is something seriously wrong. Seriously wrong. That problem, sometimes you need to look at it carefully and you see that the problem is inside. We seem not to know what we are fighting. And I want to refer you to a Chinese general, and so many people have said it. Man, know thyself. The great philosophers said it. Man, know thyself. But a Chinese general, as I recently heard, put it in a better context. He said, when you are going to fight any battle, when you are first, what you need to do is to know yourself. Know yourself. And then know your opponent. Know because if you know your opponent, in other words, the one you are going to fight, you should know him very well. Know yourself. Know your opponent. In 2,000 battles, you win almost all. And this cannot be more factual than anything I've ever heard. And this is true. Know thyself. There are two stories I'll tell you. One will be in this video. The next one will be the next video. And maybe I'll mention the same thing when I come to talking about BRICS. Because I will talk about BRICS because it's now a very important subject. Let's take the first one. Are you saying the people on the African continent truly know themselves? They don't. Totally, they don't know themselves. If you don't know yourself, how can you know who you are fighting? You don't know yourself. If you know yourself, you know why you are fighting. You know yourself, then you know the resources available to you and you know how to fight this battle. Some few days ago, very funny story. I, as a driver, had a passenger in my car. And the way this young man dressed is, I like chatting. So I asked him a question. Why did you dress like this? The young man replied me, I dress like this because I'm going to an African wedding. And I said, I know, I'm going to a wedding. And I said, a wedding? Yes. And he said, I'm going to an African wedding. So you dress like this? He said, yes, because I'm going to an African wedding. And I said, why are you not in suit and tie? So you go to your wedding, you live in Britain, you are going to a wedding, and you dress like this. It's like a masquerade. You go and wear something, and they call it African. And he said something that really blew me off. I said, wow. He said, we Africans don't value our culture. That is what he said. And that when the Europeans were leaving India, the Indians took technology from the Europeans, and they kept their culture. That is why they are in space today. But we, the Africans, took the European culture but not the technology, and that's why we are suffering today. So my mind started cracking. What is this person saying? How can I educate this young man who happened to be a Ghanaian like myself? This is an opportunity to educate a brother. So I asked him something. I said, do you know what Africa is? And he said, well, it's Africa because everybody knows Africa. And I said, are you not a Ghanaian? He said, yes. And I told him that Ghana is a country, Africa is a continent. There are two things here. One is a country, one is a continent. Now, look at it this way. On the African continent, when the Europeans indeed came to colonize, it was not one people that came. So many. French came, German came, the Danes came, the Dutch came, the Portuguese came, the Spanish came, the British or the English, the British Empire, they all came. Each is a different culture, and they each brought their culture in colonizing each part. At the time they were living, the modern culture each of the colony has got is the culture that colonized it. That there's no problem with that. But there's something. They left country by country. They didn't leave a continent. The continent is a big land. So the problem now we have today is differentiating between our struggle as a continent and our struggle as countries. Everyone on the African continent is fully aware that the country in which they are is not working. Everyone from North to South Africa. Today we have 54 countries on the African continent. Good. Then I reminded him, I said, do you know what is called India? I realized my colleague doesn't know the difference between India as a country and Indians as the national of a country called India, and another and the continent of Africa with 50 countries, 54 countries that are on a continent. So when he say Indians go to space, Indians have got technology because they didn't take the white man's culture, the Europeans' culture, they kept their technology, their culture, but took the technology. What this man didn't realize that India is a country that will bring us to BRICS. Russia is a country which is almost as big as the size of the African continent. India has almost 1.6 billion, which is even bigger than the population of the whole of the African continent. China is very big, 1.4 now, because they say the population is falling. It's a country, very big, very big. So what you are seeing here is this man doesn't know the difference between a country and a continent. United States of America is a country. Brazil is a country. It's not a continent. Yes, it's a country. It's not a continent. So now let us come to the argument here. When you are comparing a continent, 54 different countries, to a country, you are making a big mistake. Remember, when India was colonized by one colonizer, Britain, the British Empire, when India had independence, colonized by the British, you have one big land. Out of that, there was breakaway nations, Pakistan and Bangladesh. These two nations that separated themselves from India today, some of them cannot even build proper roads. They are not competitive because they don't have that power. While India is standing, that some people even call her subcontinent or whatever. But then what is China? Another subcontinent. Then Africa, continent. You see, let us stop fooling ourselves here. The battle to be fought is a battle of countries. It's not the battle of continents. We can never win from the continental position, because if we are going to win, and this is where Kwame Nkrumah comes in. Kwame Nkrumah was not talking about a continent as a land. Kwame Nkrumah was talking about a government of the continent. Get that straight, because today you have people shouting Pan-African, especially the racists in South Africa and Zimbabwe. They are polluting, and then their black counterparts in America, when they say Africa, you don't know what they mean. They are causing confusion. And when we come to BRICS, we'll see how the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, and the Ghanaian president were making a mess out of themselves at the BRICS summit. We will analyze it. Now look at this. You see, we cannot fight, and we are not ready to fight, but some want to. They should continue. They know the fight they are fighting. We must understand what we want to do is to change our destiny in a competitive world. And we must know ourselves. Our country, Ghana, is not working. I explained to that young man, it's not working. Nothing is working there. If Ghana is not working, then what option do we have? What should be our alternative? That is why ECOWAS was formed. In ECOWAS so far, at least to collect our money and make us feel stupid, they've given us, what do you call that thing? Passport. So we all hold ECOWAS passport. In fact, I'll show mine to you because it's with me. And we have ECOWAS flag. We also have free movement of people. We have ECOWAS Parliament. We have ECOWAS Commission. We have the Assembly of Head of States, which is the authority of ECOWAS. That then tell you clearly that what we are forming, we have the Court of Justice of ECOWAS. That is telling you, if you have a little brain, that we are forming a regional government. Because you cannot go into partnership with anyone as a country without coming from the position of strength. If you go into any form of relationship from the position of weakness, you will be the donkey. That will serve everyone. They will sit on you, they will take advantage of you, and that is why we form the ECOWAS, so that taking advantage, that strength will be seen for us to stand and defend what we believe in together, either internally or externally. Here, for those of us who are all over the place, what I like about most of these people is the more the merrier. The more they talk, the more they hype the challenge that something is wrong. And we can see that, but they always come with anarchy. This lady from the African Union, yes, I'll remember her name when I come to doing my editing of the video. And she now works with the African Union from Zimbabwe, and she's now ended up in America, all over the place, crying about imperialism on the African continent. Then they ask her, hold it, how do you want to win this battle? She started talking like people who are talking from the Arab Spring. That is nonsense. That is nonsense. We are already there. The ECOWAS is there. The ECOWAS is there. We just don't know. Our people, majority of our people don't know what to do. I started by saying we must know ourselves. What do I mean by we should know ourselves? How do we know ourselves? There are so many things that brings us to knowing ourselves. Democracy is one of it. Yes, we are siding with the military rulers in Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, because there is a need for what they are doing that will make the ECOWAS wake up. That is why we are siding with them. But we all know very well that democracy is the way forward. The question is, which democracy? Is it democracy of the countries, or democracy excluding the ECOWAS, or democracy of the ECOWAS excluding the country, or democracy of the countries and the ECOWAS itself? There are 15 countries. That is the one we want. The third option, ECOWAS must be democratic. Democracy means, to us, the parliament of ECOWAS members must get their mandate directly from the electorates of West Africa that are as well the very people voting for the presidents, and they are voting for the parliament of their own countries. They must be able to vote for those directly to go to the ECOWAS parliament. Now, culture must give us food. It must give us clothes, this type of clothes, not the monkey clothes they are wearing all over the place and the donkey clothes. Culture must make us be able to build houses and live in decent houses. Culture must give us modern day healthcare, and culture must give us modern day education so that we can be useful human beings, competitive in the modern world, and stand shoulder to shoulder and take our place as the people of ECOWAS, West Africa. And the only way we do this, is to understand, especially when some people who are sick in the head, they say, oh, because it's called Economic Community of West African States, so it's only about economics. Hold it. Is it not the politicians who are deciding where we are all going in West Africa? So it's also a political organization. You can't have politics without economics, and you cannot have economics without politics. And you cannot have economics without technology. They are connected, and behind everything is the power and force of law. The law of the people is what will take us to where we are going to. Everything is clear. Everything is clear. We want to win this battle. Those of us who can see the enemies, we are also clear that in this competition, it's a competition. We want the resources of West Africa to be useful to us. They want the resources of West Africa, human and mineral resources and non-human resources, to be useful to them. That's what the Europeans, the Americans, and the Chinese and the Russians want, to be useful to them. We want it to be useful to us. So there is a competition. Our enemies are clear. Yes, we are partners in a way because we are all fighting for the same thing, but we are competing. There is a competition, whether we like it or not. The Europeans want more out of the resources on our land. We think they don't even have a say. They should keep the resources on their land. We keep the resources on our land. This is what the modern day right to self-determination is all about. And that is what my book, The Secret of Great Nation, talk about a lot. We are all fighting for a share in the global resources. That's what we are doing. We all want to participate in the creation and consumption of the same wealth. So, don't let anyone fool anyone. If you need a house, I need a house. If you want food, I want food. If I want clothes, you have a right to have clothes. If I want healthcare, you have a right to have healthcare. Everyone has a right to have healthcare. And as a family, which family do we want to fight on? Are we going to fight as Ghanaians or ECOWAS citizens? Are we going to fight as Nigerians or ECOWAS citizens? I think the choices are clear. They're very, very clear. And we are direct stakeholders. And this is another thing. Until we stand up to let these imbeciles, I call them imbeciles because they are not helping. How long have we been doing this? Since 1975. We understand there will be a gradual journey, but it's long overdue now. There's no time to waste. If we have to do it, every second we are failing to do it because we know what is supposed to be done. That is what you call jahil. That is ignorance. If you know what you want to do and you know why you have to do it, don't wait for another day. It must be done now, because tomorrow will be a different challenge. People are landing in space. Everyone is putting their flags there, and we are busy fooling around in West Africa. And when you talk, the people are suffering. They are seriously suffering. This will be addressed. We, the ECOWAS Citizens' Right, Democratic Right Advocate, or Citizens' Right Advocates, you see our website, www.ecdra.org. It says it all. We have no seconds to wait. We must go on and win this battle. Remember, we must know ourselves once again, and we must know the enemy. We must know them. When we know the opponent, we know the competitor, we know the oppressor, and we don't care whether he knows us or not, then we'll know the tools we need, the weapons we need, the resources we need to win our war. We are going to fight a war. Life is war. It's a battle for survival. Europeans and Americans and the Chinese and the Russians have a right to fight their battle. We also have a right to fight our battle of ECOWAS. As for the African Union, we know it is there. That one is too far away for us. Let that Zimbabwe woman and that one from South Africa, Malema, and let them fight for those ones. In fact, over there in that something is wrong there. You hear them talking when they don't even know the difference between South Africa and Africa, South Africa and Africa, and they are confusing themselves. We are tired of them. Leave them alone. We know what we want. Some of them are telling us about those talking about democracy, and because they want to work for the imperial. Hold it. So how do you want us to work together? How can we do it? You tell us. Because you are wearing a cloth, you look like someone from the bush. You don't dress properly, and you know, he said they say we are working for the capitalists, we are working for the imperialists, we are working for. Look, the reality is before us. We will have industries. We will compete. We are working to buy off all the industries owned by Europeans on our land. We shall pay them. Yes, we will compete with them. We will beat them on our own land like the Americans did. We will beat them on our own land. When I say beat them, I'm not saying physically. Our businesses, we will set up our research centers. Our businesses will be very, very competitive. Our businessmen will push them out. We will start lending. They will start lending money to them, and we'll be taking interest on it. It is doable. That ECOWAS will take us there. When the South Africans and the North Africans and the finish their shenanigan, we can work together. But for now, we need to solve our own problem. Our job is clear. It's clear cut. It's no more Ghana. I am sick of what is going on in Ghana. I'm totally sick of it. Whoever you pass the baton to, it's the same old story. Why? Economics cannot survive without technology. And technology and economics need politics. Politics were at the right place. A journey of 1 million miles start with one step, they say. One step in the right direction. If you start with one step in the wrong direction, you end up in the bush and the ghetto. So we have to look at ourselves in the face. I believe you've come a long way with me, and we are on the same page. You are with us so far. Your humble self once again, your servant Kofi Ali Abdul Yakin. Sorry, you know I like calling my name. Yes, I know. Well, everyone must love their name. We don't choose our name. Our parents give it to us, and we have to grow with it. Like our country, we don't choose it. We need to love it. But if it's not good enough, we can make it better. And that is the responsibility of every one of us. We can't sit down and accept things because everyone is doing it. If it's wrong and we know better, we must step up and make that great difference. Thank you. Thank you once again. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. The more the subscription we have, the more the numbers are going up, the more we get the advertisers to come on board. And I swear to you, we will blow it all up. We will change the face of this earth. We will prove that, like they say. Well, let me quote Kwame Nkrumah. He said, and I want to quote him: if the African is given the chance, the black man will prove to the rest of the world what he's capable of doing. And I'm a black man. Nobody take that one away from me. I'm black man. He was talking in the context of the African continent, and he is dead and gone. Let's give ourselves that chance, and ECOWAS citizens will prove to the rest of the world what we ECOWAS citizens are capable of doing. And let me be honest with you, in our own ECOWAS, the whites and the Asians and anyone who want to be citizens of ECOWAS who will come and meet the condition, I swear to you, we will give you citizenship. You will stay with us as long as you prove you are worthy. You are ready to fight and die with us to create a common destiny and be the rulers of this world rather than the donkeys. I swear to you, we have no problem. Why? If I can live in Britain, some are in America, my cousins, my sisters, my aunties, they're all over the place. And they live with dignity. This is not about a race. This is not about a race. This is about people waking up to the reality of their location and trying to make the best out of their circumstances so that they'll stop being the scam and the eyesore of the world. We have a right to be up there. Everyone will have their own fair share of poverty, as everyone will have the fair share of riches. We don't have the rich ones. We have the bootlicking ones. And we want to change these dynamics. We want to change our destiny. Thank you. Thank you for being with me once again. Until I come your way again, because there's another video. This one will be a long story. Man, know thyself, as stated by Shakespeare, Othello, or Olarutimi. The gods are not to blame. I'm coming back to you. Have a wonderful time. Let's wait for the next video.